Yes, I can hear you, Sandra. We can hear you.
Yes, I'm so very excited to be here today. Thank you so much, Enterprise Uganda, for the invitation to come and share my story. Um, I'm very, very excited because I know a lot of young people are eagerly waiting for what I'm going to share. And I've made a little presentation on our profile as a company, but I'll just start about my journey and how I started entrepreneurship. I'm a Ugandan, and as just like any person, I was a young person who really went to school knowing I'll be able to get employment as easily as possible. But unfortunately, when I was at the university, I saw my lecturers striking, and the reasons were really obvious. And then also when I was trying to get into the workforce, it was really a little bit difficult. And I remember going through a program, it's called BEST. It was by Enterprise Uganda at that time. And they talked about how to be able to look out for opportunities. And for me, it's how I started because I had the first dream because I was looking through ideas. What can I be able to do? And then I started by looking out for things I would be able to cook. And I think I looked at pancakes, having international pancakes, but I saw it was not an idea that was sustainable for me. And it wasn't like my passion. Cooking wasn't like my passion so much. So through the program, it's called BEST. It was a program that we went through. I remember the sponsors were, I think at that time it was Worried, I think Worried, and they paid part of our fee to be for that program, and we had another fee that we paid as ours. So that's how I started the journey, and I was able to start identifying opportunities. And my first opportunity was a line of products, and that was in the detergent range, which my mother was able to inspire me to start because she saw a neighbor who had a skill of how to make detergents. And I was able to approach this person to teach me the skill. To come from my background is I'm a scientist. So it was easier for me to easily learn about what he was teaching. And I'll ask Derek to be able to share the presentation. So I was able to start with a line of detergent. And for me, it was just something just to keep me busy as I looked for something to be able to do. And I remember because in that presentation they told us you first write your first customers, write about 10 people that you can approach to be able to sell to them the product. And I remember writing down 10 people to be able to reach out for the product for. And in these 10 people, all of them were able to buy from me the products. And when they were able to buy, because I started with about 30,000 shillings at that time, that was in about 2012. And that 30,000, because all the people bought, I was able to make about 80,000 shillings. So that difference is I was able to make about 50,000 profit without me calculating labor, just the raw materials that I'd used. With that inspiration, I was able to now start even doing much more than what I could be able to do. I started, just like the Ronald has mentioned, I started moving door to door, looking for more clients, looking for more markets. And I remember one time moving at a place, I think it's around Bunga. There is a lady that she was nice looking. She was a manager of this place, but one of the workers knew me because from church. And when I entered this place, I was looking not so nicely like the way I am today. And I remember this lady looking at me head to toe. And she told me, when I explained to her the products, I explained to her, I'm able to supply you. And then she looks at me and she was like, young lady, if you have UNDS, if your products are in the supermarket, I'll be able to buy from you. And definitely as a young person, I was crying. I cried and I'm asking myself, so how do I get UNDS? How do I get this product to the shelf of a supermarket? And I walked out very sadly because of this criticism that I'd received from her. But I took that criticism positively. And I remember reaching out to one of my mentors and I asked, so how am I able to get this to the supermarket? How am I able to get this certified? And my mentor pointed me to places where I could be able to get some help from. And that's how they told me about Uganda Industrial Research Institute. I did not know anyone there. I did not know even how the place looked like. But by faith, I was able to go there. And when I reached there, they told me to write a letter. Which letter I was able to write. At that time, definitely, you've studied, but you're not able to write an official letter. When I wrote the letter, I wish I had the letter. You would have seen how it looks. It had no update. It had some things missing. And everyone who read the letter gave me reasons why they wouldn't even pay attention to me. But luckily enough, at that time, Professor Kwesiga was able to accept me. And then they wrote back to me and they asked me to come. And then they were able to give me the technical support. Now at URI, I could just go and use the labs and got the exposure of how to use the labs, how to use the equipment, and just being there. And then also I was given a staff that would help me do formulation. So from one product that I had, I was able to start formulating more products in the detergent line. With that exposure, it helped me now to increase even my sales more. And I had also companies interested in buying from me. And now companies could ask, do you have receipts? We want this volume. Are you able to supply us now? I ask, so how am I able to do this? Then my question is, I would ask someone else. So how am I able to do this? So that's how I started the registration of the business back then. And I remember going through the names at URSB until all the names were rejected. And until when I landed on Pelere Group. Pelere is a word in Madi. I'm a Madi, and it means you're beautiful, you're awesome, you're wonderful, you're great. It has different acronyms of the meaning of it. And that's how I was able to register the business. And with that, I was able to start supplying now different people. I was able to start supplying organizations. I was able to start supplying at different places. Now, as I built that first line of detergents, I got an inspiration from my grandmother. My grandmother at that time was about 88 years of age. And she tells me about these fruits that I could be able to impact people with. And then she gives me reasons why I should be able to do it. And to be honest, at that time, my dream was I was looking for a job still, and I was just doing this to pass time, to just keep myself busy, and to just keep going. But then when she inspired me to be able to start and help the community, and she told me how this plant, she has been using it, even when we were kids, we were able to use it, and how I could formulate products from it. She showed me some traditional methods of how to use, to do. She even gave me some recipes I could be able to use, babies, what. I was very excited, and then I was able to start. Now, because I was using already the labs at Uganda Industrial Research Institute, it was easier for me to ask them if I could also be able to look at this crop using the laboratories there. And that's how I now started again more researching more scientifically to have the proper procedure, not just depending on the traditional method that she had given me. And with that, that's how our second line was birthed of cosmetics. And then I was able to start sourcing now. That was about in 2014. Now I was able to start sourcing from farmers, and we could go in every season, pick crops every month, pick, and then we're able to process this into butter, and then I could have some products that I was selling on markets. And that's how our Embrace brand was backed also. Now, as I had my other feet back into the world of a job, but I remember on one of the trips I was on, a lady walked up to me with tears, and she told me how this was impacting her, how she's able to pay school fees for her children, how giving her the ready market was helping her to be able to meet her basic needs. Now, with her tears in her eyes, I'm with my team and she's crying, I was moved to start thinking, how do I help such how do I help such people? And that's how I went into now looking at how can I be able to make this sustainable? How can I be able to help other people be able to benefit from this? And that 2014 journey birthed my stepping into business fully. That I stopped looking for a job and I started telling myself, let me make this idea better. And at that time, shea butter didn't have any standards anywhere, especially for the Nilotica shea butter that we have in Uganda. There were no standards, there was nothing. And literally, I had to start from scratch, building from how do I be able to produce a better quality. And I remember going through different procedures because I had to play the role because I was everything in the business almost. I could do production parts, I could do all the parts of the business, you know. I know some of you, you're going through that, and literally I've been there. And in 2014, also, I decided to go back to school and just to start a degree in management. How do I build systems? How do I generate this to be better? And I remember 2014 going back to start school and being taught these processes. So whatever I learned in school, I was able to start applying it into the business. I started putting processes in place. I started putting purchases. I started using accounts systems to enable me to do better. And then also I remember that's the time when sometimes when it was very painful for me to pay for some of the audits, like you have a professional coming in to help you do some of the work, you know. And for me, because I come from not a wealthy home, I come from a humble background, let me just say that. So literally, I would struggle with even whatever capital I would get. And then also, I think 2014, I was able to start accessing money through the bank. And that was a bank called Pride Microfinance, where they could have groups of people, and then those groups of people become your collateral, and you're able to access money. So my first loan was about 500,000, and I had to pay this weekly back. So that's how I was able to start off my journey much more, and that's how I was able to get more products on board. And then yeah, that's how the journey started off for me. And that's how the different brands of products started coming in for me, the cosmetics and also the detergent bits of it. So with that also, I think about 2016, I was chosen for an award, which I was able to pitch for. And to be interesting, this award happened where I didn't have any single coin. And I think days to the event, everything of mine was stolen. I know some of you young people have been through some of these challenges. And I had to be in Nairobi at that time to be able to pitch because I'd practiced, I'd worked, and I had just a concept that I'd already started working on. And when I reached Nairobi, I traveled here, I got some money, I borrowed some money, I was able to travel. And when I traveled, I reached Nairobi, I reached like at 10 and they were already looking out for me. My other friends had already prepared. Everyone was set. I was just arriving in. And I know some of you go through some of these challenges and I'm like, why me? Why me? But I think one of the things I've learned from challenges, they make you stronger, they make you better. And I remember going to Nairobi and reaching there. I was able to pitch in front of about 10 judges all over the world. And I told them about my idea. I expanded it. I told them about how I'm able to impact more people through my product, how I'm able to increase the market in the distribution, how I'm able to offer quality products. And I was able, at the end of the presentation, I was actually the best. I was awarded to be the best, and they told me my idea was good. It had a social impact in it. It had a lot of impact. So that gave me a lot of boost to be able to say, okay, now I think I'm on the right path. But also during that time, I had a lot of pressure from my family. I had pressure from my friends because here I was, I learned. But here I was moving products, some of the products, some days I could move door to door. Some days I was very shabby. I remember a scenario where my mom almost collapsed and said, people are over talking about you. You're looking shabby. You're not presentable. and those were pains that I had to go through, you know, and just convincing her that, Mommy, one day I'll be able to make it, was one of the scenarios I had to do. But that was 2016. 2017, I was able to start looking out for more places, how I could be able to get the standard for shea butter. And I was told that the only place I could get this was in the US. Now, at that time, I had an opportunity with UN Women to be able to travel. I think I got a present. They told me to go and present Uganda, in Ethiopia. And when I went to Ethiopia, I really did my very best, that I was in every meeting. Now, I did not know they were watching me, but they were really watching me. And among the young people they sent, they chose me to be able to represent all the other young people from Uganda in the US. And that's how I was able to get a visa. When I got a visa, they didn't give me a visa just for 6 months, but they gave me a visa for about 3 years. Now, when they told me that the place where I could be able to get help for certification was in the US, I now started working towards, how can I be able to get to the US? How can I be able to get the money for certification? How can I be able to get the money to be able to pay all these licenses they needed? And by God's grace, definitely, I wrote letters everywhere, but all the letters failed. Those closed on me. I received so many no's, but I refused, and I was like, I have to be able to make it. And I remember doing more sales during that time, but also I got some money from some friends. And that's how I was able to raise over 10,000 US dollars. And I was able to go and do certification. But also I was able to be taught on how to help the farmers better. And I had an expert in one of the universities that gave me a lot of information, which I came back here down. And another time I had the shea butter was still struggling. It had some rancid. I had to improve all this. So that the trip to the US really helped me to be able to do all these things and even improve them even much more better. And then I started now improving more of the processes, and then also improving more over getting in more people to be able to help me and work with me. To cut the long story short, by 2018, I was able now to be running and working even much more. By right now, we have over 5,000 farmers that we have reached and that are supplying us. We do about, I think last season, we do about 50 tons, but depending, because of working capital, I have some limitations somewhere. I've been able to start exporting. We do supply both the local market and the export market right here. I was able to get certification for UNBS. I've got organic certifications. I was able to get some of these certifications simply because I've been able to do it. And myself also, I've been able to be employed right now. We are 12 years in business. This is our 12th year. I think by January next year, we just have two more months to make 12 years officially. And we have been running. 2018, I started talking to investors. And for me, it has also been another learning curve for me. And being able to talk to investors and pitching to them the ideas, putting all this in a business plan, and convincing them to be able to invest, and a couple of So I've just been able to close on some pre-investment conditions, which an investor had given me. And I've been able to raise to a tune of over 1 million US dollars, which has been a journey, which I don't take, not here, all young people can be able to do this, but I've been able to go through, and I so much know more young people are able to do this. So I ran through the slides and how we started. I've just talked about how we have reached about 5,000 farmers. I think right there, I'm seeing on the screen a number of how many things we have been able to reach, the impacts we are having, the direct impacts we are reaching to, the people that we are reaching to. I think next slide, Derek, thank you. Our production capacity, but right now with the machinery, with the money that we have gotten in, we are installing a machine that produces about 10 tons per day for the factory in Gulu. And also we are going to be able to do other crops like shea butter, sunflower, soya, granules. And for us, that vision is we want to see how do we increase the money that the farmer earns from us. And for us, that's the vision that we have for the factory in Gulu. And then the factory down here in Wakiso, our vision is to have more value added products that we are having. We have a lot of cosmetics that's on market already. We have a lot of shea butter. We even have a vision, because I think yesterday I was somewhere and someone was like, you could be able to bring this product to the UAE in bulk, and for me, that's where I'm seeing this going, because right now all the processes are going to be automated with machinery, with the money that we have been able to raise, and also moving us to permanent spaces. So I think for me, that has been our journey. Yeah, maybe next slide. Those are some of the certifications that we have been able to do, and also others are still being processed. Next slide, please. Yeah, that's some of our products on market, but we have improved some of our branding. So you'll find some of the products, like, for example, if you look at the Embrace Hair Pomade, it's now that it's in the Pelere Shea Butter range. So it's called the Pelere Shea Butter. We have a couple of products. We have over 35 SKUs that you can be able to pick from, either in the personal care range or detergent range or the cosmetic range. But also we do sell the shea butter in bulk, in drums. So in case you want it for export, we are able to also be able to provide you. We have a 250 kilogram drum. We have a 500-liter drum. We have a 20 kilogram bucket. So we are able to sell this. And each time you're buying from us, you're supporting a farmer who is right down there. Yeah, the last slide, please. The last slide. And with that, I think I just want to share, yeah, so the last slide is that one. That's our processes. So we do train our farmers. We don't just buy from any farmer, but we train our farmers. We have a holistic approach of what we do. And our goal is to reach as many farmers as we have. We have farmers who are in cooperatives. So you can find a cooperative. We have about 100 plus farmers. And a cooperative can produce to us about maybe 20 to about 25 tons of the shea nuts. And I think with a bigger machinery, it's easier for us to buy even much more. So we train them, we offer them a holistic approach, we do contracts with them. I have a team of people that work behind scenes to ensure that. And then also we produce all the butter and all that we do. Yeah. But with that, I just wanted to share a few tips of what has been my journey, what has brought me up to here. And maybe those are some of the lessons I've been able to speak about. Some of them, I've said them in what I was saying. For example, when I started, people are going to criticize you, but you should be focused. I think for me, that focus is very important. I learned how to focus, and whatever criticism everyone gives you, don't just take it personal, but turn it to be positive. And for me, I think it's where my journey has been, that even when I receive a criticism, I've been able to turn it to something positive. I've been able to see a learning curve through it. Sometimes your customer will complain, like there's a time when our shea butter used to go rancid, and our customers will complain. That's how I was pushed to be able to look for, how do I make this better? So in everything, look out for how do you make it better. So as young people, we have so many mistakes, but I think for me, as a young person, it has been the time that you have. Because when I started back then, I did not know that 12 years down the road, I'll be here. But I have that time, and I had inspiration from an industrialist like James Mulwana. He was someone I looked up to, and for me, it inspired me to build to where I am today. And also I believe more young people can be able to have such mentors, role models that you can look up to. That even James Mulwana is gone, but his businesses are still on. Then the other thing that I learned was to do the right thing. It's a principle I've learned everywhere, whether my church or whether in everything I've done. I've learned to be able to do the right thing at all times. I know we live in a system where our country has been, there are a lot of cultures that have come up, but still, even in those cultures, still do the right thing. A few months ago, our shop was robbed in town. It's a factory outlet, and our invoices ended up in the hands of URA. And maybe when the persons told them, they thought we were not complying with inference. But URA tried to look fault in us, and they failed to get the fault simply because we were complying at 100%. We were complying at everything, you know. So you do not know when such scenarios will come about. So one thing is do the right thing, comply, go through the process. It's very good for you to register your business. It's very good for you to become formalized. It's very good for you to have these practices. I used to do audits for the book or for my books, and I would pay a lot of money for these audits. And some of this money was so painful, but it was worth it because it would give me the right data on how I could make decisions. I could make decisions based on the right facts. So for me, that's very key. Then the other thing is invest in a business that you're passionate about. I'm really passionate about cleaning products. I'm passionate about looking good. I'm passionate about what I do, you know. So invest in something that you're passionate about. Invest in something that you love. And also the passion in the hard times, that's the passion that will sail you in. The money can be there, but your passion will keep you even in the most hardest time. I've seen them keeping me there. And I believe it's also a very key ingredient. And then also don't just think about yourself, think about impact. I think I see a lot of impact. And for me, that's where my love comes from, because you see, it's not about the cars, it's not about the money you get, but it's about the people that you're able to reach out to, the families that you're able to take care of. And for me, that's where our goals are that we are able to contribute to the GDP of this country, that we are able to contribute to the socio-economic status of this country, and we are building this country together. So I believe there are more young people that can be able to create a great impact, also a great ripple effect through the ideas that we have. The other thing also that I've learned as a young person is keep learning. Do not reach a point where you are ripe. I have a quote that says, when you're green, you grow, but when you're ripe, you rot. When you feel that you know it all, you're going to start rotting. So you have to keep in this state of, you have to keep on learning. You have to keep on yearning for new information. You have to keep on learning. You have to stay on your game. And I think for me, that's one thing I do best. But also I read a lot. I buy a book every month, which I read. Maybe if I'm having a challenge in team building, if I'm having a challenge in how to manage a board, if I'm having a challenge, I speak to people that are more than me, that have walked the journey before, and they're able to guide me, and also I'm able to read more from that. So those skills are very important. But even as you learn, there are skills that we're not taught in school. School is very important. I say there are things I've learned in school that are even the things I use right now, because recently I've been approving the factory structures where we are going to do the building on about in Gulu. We're starting from Gulu, where it's about 7 acres, and going through this process, I needed engineering knowledge, I needed mathematics knowledge, I needed negotiation skills. There are skills that were not taught at school, like those soft skills that you have, and I had to negotiate some of these things. And there are places where I could appear and they would think I was an old person, but when I appear, they look at me as a young person, you know, and they're like, is your boss sent you? And I'm like, yes, my boss has sent me to be able to do this. And trust me, being in some of these places, because I had the information, because I had the knowledge, because some of the things I learned them in school, it was easier for me to juggle through. So school is very important. Don't say school is not important for you to start business out. I believe when you have education, it gives you a view of looking at the world differently, because the way I view the world is different from when if I wasn't educated. So school is very important. Even when we are formulating most of the products, it's easier for me to blend into the teams that are formulating the products, or that they're talking about something. It's easier for me to remember that chemistry that I had back then, the physics that I did back then. It's easier for me to do all that. So school is important, but also add on the soft skills. The soft skills are skills that you need in the day-to-day. How do you relate with people? How do you communicate with people? How do you negotiate? You'll need all these skills to be able to help you as you build your business. The other thing also that I've learned is goal setting. Each year back then, I used to set goals, but right now we have a business plan, which I have worked on since 2018. And that's how I've been able to raise funds, because my goal was to raise about $2 million US, but I've so far reached halfway of that. So you need to have goals. What are your goals? And when you have these goals, do not just look at the whole goals. Look at breaking them down into smaller portions. Take it down. Like when you're eating an elephant, you won't eat the whole elephant at once. You have to have manageable steps. Break them down into smaller tasks. So that's what I think it's something I do, that I break down these goals into smaller bits, into year goals, into monthly goals, into daily actions that I have to do. And that has helped me a lot. The other thing is there are skills like time management, being humble. There are different things that you're able to learn along the way. There are professionals that you're going to be able to learn from. There are days when they're going to tell you there's a training that you have to pay for at Enterprise Uganda, and literally don't have the money, but you can negotiate, because there's a time I remember I didn't have the money for a training, and I went and I told them, no, I'm able to pay you after 2 days, but I want to attend this training because I need this skill. And they were able to allow me to be able to attend the training, So I think for me, for the person that is just like me, a young person like me, you're not from a wealthy home, you do not have enough collateral to be able to say, okay, I need this much money. There are things that in your character you're going to have, and those are the things that will help you to be able to relate with people, to make sure people are working with you, to be able to build where you are today. With that, maybe I'll be glad to answer any questions, but with those few words, I want to end there. But above all, also, I thank God, because God, He has been my source of everything. He has been my source of strength. There are days when things are not working out well, and trust me, He has been there. So above that, I'll be able to open up for discussion and anything that you want me to add on. Thank you.
Great. Thanks a lot, Sandra, for that very inspiring message. It's been quite a journey, 12 full years at this. And yes, clearly from what you have shared, there have been many ups and downs. We have seen you share the moments of rejection, moments of kind of just things being hard, moments when your family doesn't understand you and understand what you are about and what you're trying to chase. And for a young person, that can be difficult. And I think many times it feels like it can be even justification for giving up. You say, you know what, I think this thing is not playing out and I need to give out. I mean, you have talked about the challenges of just formalization, making sure you get certification, making sure you are okay with the Uganda Revenue Authority. All those are very important messages that you have kind of shared with us. Thanks a lot for that. A number of messages in the chat box. Yes, Anne says, consistency pays. Yes, Margaret says, congratulations. She admires your patience. Grace says, so inspired. Yes, I see Susan. Yes, Susan Andong says, very inspiring. Great, Anne. Very, very inspiring. Sandra, patience, resilience, consistency. She has a question there, which I think will be our first question. How long does a shea tree take to start producing nuts for use? That question you will answer in a moment. Beatrice says, wow, so touching for many of us who are struggling to start. Yes, that's from Beatrice. I see Martin says, this is great, so inspiring. Yes, I see Maureen says, it has inspired me so much. That's from Maureen. Great. We have a moment to just come up with a couple of questions. If you have a question or a comment, please go ahead and put it in the chat box, or just put up your hand and we'll give you an opportunity to ask. When Derek or myself see you, we'll be able to give you an opportunity to ask. Sandra, I think as you shared, it kind of you quickly see that 12 years is a pretty long period. It's a pretty long period. But you talked somewhere, and I'll give Martin a moment, an opportunity to ask in a moment. But I want to just pose a question. Many young people, when they are starting out, really the right thing to do is to get a job. That's what society demands from you. That's what everyone is telling you. And you talked about that shift where you said, you know what, I actually decided that this is about time for me to say I am going to do business. But what advice do you give to a young person to arrive to that point quickly? Many times I think young people feel like even when you're in business, and I think you said it yourself, you are doing it as a side thing and you are now get a real job. And I think as society, we do the same. Say, so where exactly do you work? So how do you help what would you tell a young person who is at that point of shifting? How do I accept that this is the journey which I am going to take? Martin, you had your hand up. Please go ahead and ask your question.
Hello.
Yes, Martin, we can hear you.
Leonard, thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Martin.
One of the concerns you have elaborated it, how she managed to persevere and focus on doing business, not going back to looking for a job. That was very great. Thanks for asking it. Then another thing, how did she realize it early enough that when I focus on serving the community, I can easily make it. I can easily contribute to the development of my nation. I want to understand clearly, how did she get to understand at a later stage that serving the community makes me achieve more? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sandra. You'll capture those questions. Yes, Carol says, thank you. Very inspiring and encouraging. That's from Carol. I'll take one more hand if there is. Pony says, I'm so inspired by your journey, Sandra, and have given me courage to keep going. Perfect. Thank you, Pony, for that question. By the way, Sandra will be with us physically during the Global Entrepreneurship Week next week on Wednesday. Sandra, I hope you bring your products. You know, we saw that picture of the products, but those of us who want to buy, from our side, we will give you a table to display the products. Come with one of your team members. You'll get a bit of space in the exhibition room. So if any of the members want to buy your products, they'll be there. Sandra will be part of one of the panels which we're having next week. So if you want to meet her physically, she will be right there. Great. Possibly, Sandra, you'll take those questions. One last question I'll ask just before you come back is this question of formalization, especially certification. How do you say the certification, you had to go to the US to get the product certified. How does that reconcile with UNBS? What was your journey? Do you get it certified out there, then you have to certify it here? How do you get that? And then you mentioned you have certification from Japan and a couple of other places. How is that journey? How simple is it? What advice can you give someone who is at that point of certifying their product?
Okay, thank you, Ronald. Thank you once again. Thank you so much, everyone. I really love the comments, and I think that's my role, to be able to inspire also other more young entrepreneurs, and we give God the glory for that. I'll start from the shea tree. The shea tree right now, we have an improved variety that is done by Narrow, and it takes about 10 years to grow. Narrow has tested it, and we have some farmers who are planting it already. And yeah, it takes about 10 years to grow and to fruit. But right now, more farmers who are just planting, you find we are harvesting from trees that have been there for quite some time, either in homesteads or in the wild. Yeah, I have a farmer who has about 250 acres of trees in his farm, and he's looking at a long-term vision of it. So more people are picking up the vision, and I think it's why when I went into it, I think we are able to convince more people to be able to think long-term. Instead of cutting the tree, they're able to think of how this can be able to benefit and be like a cash crop in the near future. So I think I have so many prospects, and hopefully I've answered that. We have an improved variety by Narrow. You're able to get it in the different centers in Narrow, either in Arua or in Lira or in Gulu. You're able to get a seedling. It's about 5,000 to 4,000 shillings that you're able to get and be able to plant. yeah, but I think we'll be able to drive those campaigns starting maybe next year. We shall focus more on that. Someone asked me about how did I make a decision to focus more on business? And just like the way I told you, I had different turning points for me. And one of the turning points was when I was in the field and that lady came crying. And then she told me how she was being impacted by this. And that made me put my foot entirely to give it my best. I'll make you just have a thought of this. I graduated with my second degree with a first class, and I was the best in the university at Nkumba. And I remember on the graduation day, because I used to study while I was working. I was working the business because I could study on the weekends. And when I graduated, the person who I had to go and greet the things of kneeling, it was Professor Wavamuno. And I remember my mom making a statement and telling me, you know what, Sandra, you go to him and you ask for a job. And then I told her, Mom, no, I'm not. I am going to focus all my energy, all my resources to ensure that Pelere becomes better. And I think it's just, you just make that decision to burn all your bridges. And I think that's the decision I made is I'm not looking back. I am fully focused on this, and Pelere will be able to offer me a job because right now I'm the managing director at Pelere, and still I'm supposed to be subjected to a salary and all that. So it's a decision you have to make. What do you see? What's the vision you're seeing? And for me, I think it's the vision I saw ahead. I saw a lot of potential ahead. I saw the numbers I was doing. I saw how if I could multiply what I was doing, how great could be. So for me, I think that's the vision I saw. And then also as a young person, I thought I was thinking long term. I wasn't looking at the short term pains. Though sometimes you're looking at the short term pains, you're looking at the pains you're having at that time, but not looking at after the pains, what happens. So I think I have that ability that God has given me to be able to look beyond the pain, beyond that moment, what is next. And definitely I've told you with God, some of the things you're able to discover them. And for me, I think that was my turning point. And that's how I think I've been able to stick here, where I'm like, come rain, come sunshine, my foot is here. Then also serving community, I've told you that was my turning point, where I looked at that lady when she walked up to me. And then my question now was, it's very good to have, as a leader, it's very good to have those question answer moments where even sometimes you take time to reflect. Even when I'm so busy, I take time to reflect on some of the things I do. And I think that's why also rest is very important for us as entrepreneurs, that you're able to think beyond what you are just doing. And I think it's when I realized it's like, you know what, Sandra, what if you're helping much more people to provide them with a ready market? What if you're helping more women to have more markets that you're providing? And then also the other thing that I thought about is I started innovating. When I started innovating more products, my goal was to use as much shea butter as possible. That's why you see more of our products having shea butter. But even in the conditioner, I'll make sure shea butter is in it. Why? My goal is to ensure that when the farmer supplies us with the nuts and we are crushing them and we are having butter, we do not have butter remaining in that year. We have to make sure all the butter is gone. And I think for me, that's where I think how does this market increase? How are we able to increase this? So I think markets are very important in your thinking. First come from the market side as you come to the farmers. So I think for me, that's in my thought patterns or with my team, that's what we are able to do much more. And we think about sustainability. How do you sustain this? How do you make it better? So for me, that was very, very important. Then you asked about formulation. Yes, at that time, UNBS didn't have the standards. And literally, actually, because of going to the US, I was able to have, because of the certification, we're able to have a benchmark because I was able to be placed on it's called a technical committee, cosmetic technical committee at UNBS. So I've literally seen the birthing of the UNBS standard that we have now. That was sponsored by the Kidepo project, which was under Uganda Export Promotion Board. that also offered us funding to be able to do the standard. So by the time the standard was done, I was literally on the committee, and information that I got from the US and from these other places where we kept on benchmarking is what we used to be able to formulate the standards that we have right now, that UNBS is now selling out. And for me, I look at that was like an investment, because, you know, sometimes as an entrepreneur, you're not going to wait for someone else to make the move. You have to lead by example. You have to stand up to be able to make some of these moves. And for me as an entrepreneur, it's something that I was able to stand out for. That I'm like, you know, let me start the process. I'll be, because sometimes you're not going to get the help there and then. Sometimes you're not going to get people coming on board for you. But if you're able to start the journey, and that's very important. So that's how I think I was able to start a certification of the products, and it was an investment. I count it as an investment. The other standards that we have, like for example, right now I have so many buyers with a factory that is going up in Gulu. I've told you it produces about 10 tons per day, because right now my capacity has been so low. And I have a very good quality of shea butter. And all my buyers, each of my international buyers, when they take the shea butter, they love it. But they've been ordering quantities that I can't be able to do. The quantities, if I'm able to do them, for example, filling a full container, it takes me right now 3 months to be able to fill a full container. So it's why I took the time to raise more money from investors and be able to ensure that my machinery capacity increase. I have like a buyer right now who wants a full container every year or every after like three months. I have different of them lined up. So they also demand us to have organic certification. So that's how it's like an investment to make into I put it under R&D, your research and development budget. So you're able to have this certification done by different bodies, and it will be easier for you to export to places like Europe and these other places. And where I got from the inspiration, it's when I went to Nairobi, Kenya. You find that even a donut on the shelf of Nairobi is certified. It has a K mark. So it's where I learned how quality is very important, and also whatever your buyer is asking for, they have the rightful asking to do that from you, and our buyers are willing, because you know when you tell them I'm incurring this cost into ensuring we have this certification, they're willing to top up for you. Actually, right now we are already lined up. More buyers want to support our farmers, and they want to be in need. They want to be able to help out. So I think it's just about you convincing them, because this is a certification that they need, especially if you're going to bulk bits of it. And I've told you, I have buyers lined up already who want containers, who are willing to buy this, but I didn't have like capacity to be able to do this. My capacity was a little bit low, and I need a bigger machinery to be able to fulfill their needs. So they chose not to buy from anyone. They chose to wait until when we install the machines, and then be able to do that. And then the other thing I think with our customers, it's building relationships. I really value a lot of relationships. For me, business is about relationships. So even with our customers, with every one of us, we really build a lot of relationships. Yeah, I think I've answered all the questions. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much for those responses. Yes, relationships are critical, and making sure you keep them nurtured and keep them going strong. Now, I think there are a couple of more questions which are coming through. If you want to ask, please put up your hand. I think the question was from, there was a question here on, I think this is what Musisi says. Hello, Sandra. Thank you for sharing. Kindly advise on how to handle family influence in the journey of your business. How did you manage family influence? I mean, you remain the daughter of your parents, and how do you manage that influence? Sometimes from brothers, sometimes from aunties. That's a question from Musisi Dennis. Yes, and I think Martin asks, are there any books you recommend for us to read that can help us in business and keep us focused in life? Sandra, please, if you have any books which you recommend, please go ahead and share those. Yes, I see. Just wait. Trying to run through the comments so that I don't miss any questions. This is what this was from Charles Lagu. Charles says, shea trees are highly endangered due to the high tree felling for charcoal business. Yes, that is very true, Charles. And so, what are your views on the sustainability concern? What are your views on the sustainability of the shea trees? I know that many of them grow naturally, but we have also been told they make the best charcoal. So many are cutting them down to make charcoal. And we know that that's a big loss, not just to the environment, but to even at the heart of the business you're doing. So what are your views on that? There are many products that can be derived from shea, nuts, and related products. Then the question here is, what community change activities can the community do to protect the shea trees? So possibly, Sandra, you can share with us some of the things you're working with the community. How do you make sure these trees, I know that new varieties have been made, but the ones which exist, how can we be able to protect them? Sandra, you can answer those. I don't know, there are a couple of hands. You can answer that round of questions and then we can move on.
Okay, yeah, I'll start from the sustainability bits. Recently, we have His Excellency, the President of Uganda, giving a directive on charcoal, and which we thank him for. It was a very good directive. And we also have some bylaws that have been enacted. I know NEMA is also behind some of the bylaws. But I think what our community needed, you see, this was a place that was affected by the LRA war for a long time, and most of these people didn't have a source of income. And you find most of these people turned to cutting down of trees because they were looking for a source of income. And us assuring them that we're providing them that ready market is one of the sustainable solutions that we can be able to have. And I've seen so many people being able to change for long term, because we calculated if someone is able to harvest much more. Right now, the capacity is not yet there, because like in Ghana, an individual farmer can even gather about 500 bags. So right now here, someone can gather about maybe 3 to 5 bags, which can be equivalent to about maybe $300, you know. So if you're able to provide them and assure them with this market even much more, I so much believe more farmers are going to take this as a serious business and they'll be able to do it. So I think for me, it's one of the sustainability things I'm looking at, and how more of these communities are going to be able to benefit and also be able to change their mindset. And I've seen it a lot being happening. I've told you, we have a farmer who has about 250 acres and is deliberately ensuring that he protects his trees. And I've seen also very many who are investing in this and different cooperatives. So I believe with the installation of the machines that we have and a bigger capacity, and if we're able to show them that demand that we have, I so much believe more farmers, their mindset will even change even much more better, and even when you pay them and all that. The community activities that we're trying, we have different other agencies that we work with that do the seedlings for the shea tree. And I've told you, Naro is one of them, but also doing that. We shall start a campaign, but that will be next year. This year we had a lot of things at our hand. We had the pre-investment conditions that we had to finish, so we couldn't do some of these campaigns. But starting next year, those are some of the campaigns that we're looking at on how we can be able to increase more of community awareness, radios, talk show, and different bits to be able to reach a lot of these farmers and to be able for them to see the longer vision, but also to be able to be each one is policeman. I've seen a couple of our RDCs in northern Uganda being able to arrest some of the people that use this for charcoal or buy. So I believe also with the introduction, and I think this year VAT is taken off, I think gas or something, yeah, so if we have other alternatives, I so much believe we will be able to do this, but we are all in this together. So I believe each one of us's view is very important. Yeah. Then a couple of books I've been able to read. I think there are different books you're able to read. There are different ones, but I think one that can be able to help you on how to build relationships with people. I think it's How to Influence by Dale Carnegie. How to Influence and what how to influence. It's by Dale Carnegie. It's a very good book that will teach you people's skill. Because right now in this era, you need a lot of people's skills. You need to know how to work with people. You need to know how to interact at all points with different people, because at all times you're going to have people around you. So it's a skill that is very important to be able to learn. And I think one of the books is that. Then there is, yes, thank you so much, How to Win Friends and Influence People, yes, by Dale Carnegie. Then there is also The Magic of Thinking Big. You're able to look at that. I think yeah, there's a Power of Focus. There are different books you're able to get, but I believe in those bookshops you're able to get a book. Yes, Think and Grow Rich, all those ones are there, but depending on your need, please get a book. It will help you. It makes you sit down with a mentor who is not there. Even actually right now, YouTube is very good also, because you're able to listen to some of these audios or some of this teaching or some of the skills you want to learn. I've been learning about team building recently, and I'm building more on it, how do you able to influence, how do you get things done, so YouTube also can be very good. And if you have maybe an iPhone, also there are different podcasts that are on that you're able to access for yourself. Then the book, Family Influence on the Journey. Yes, family influence. Yes. It can be tough sometimes. I've had a couple of influences, but number one thing is, I think at all times I know what I want. So it can be hard, and sometimes family, when they're influencing, it can be much more emotional. Because when I was like, I'm not getting a job, I'm doing this. It was not well with definitely my parents, because I was breaking the norms, I don't think there's anyone in my family lineage that has said, let me do business, people are employed. So it was a changing curve. It was a tough one, but just like the way I say, when you burn the bridges, you stick to those bridges. Like you've burned them for good, and you're like, what comes my way, I'll stick to this. And sometimes it can be very hard. It can be lonely, but also I had amazing people that have worked with me. I've had people that pray alongside me. I have people that just journal with me. It can be just find someone who I think there's a time when Enterprise Uganda gave me a mentor. I think it was with a program by, I think it was Princess Charles, and that mentor, she's called Hajat Halima, and Hajat Halima could just drive and come to my factory at that time. She could just sit down with me. Her husband could drop her, and she could just talk to me, and we could just tell her my pains. I had someone that was my support system. So as an entrepreneur, it's very important that you have a support system, not just only your family. That even when things are not well, these are people that will understand you from your point of view. They will not judge you. So I've had a blessing to have such friends. Hajat Salima is still my customer and a friend up to date. And I met her through Enterprise Uganda. So it was a program, I think, it was called YBI. So it was a program I really benefited from, that she could drive and just come every week to our factory, just sit down with me, see how the products are. She would tell me, oh, Sandra, this one, there's something missing. Honest feedback. So you need such mentors in your life. You need that support system in the people around you, that ensure that you have people that are supporting you. I also have from my church, I pray for my toto. So I have also, they call them cell groups. So I had also people that I could lean down to. I'm like, this has refused here. These are people who could pray with you. They could walk with you the journey. So have a support system. Have a support system for people that are not just your family, because sometimes your family will, but afterwards they'll be so proud of you. I remember the time when I was going to the US, and my mom had to speak to the whole village how I was going to the US several times, and yes, those those things will be there. But think long term, you'll be able to outgrow the short term pains that you're saying. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sandra. Powerful, powerful, powerful. It's a journey indeed, and I like the point you made about having someone to walk with you the journey. I think one of the powerful tools which we know as Enterprise Uganda is the power of mentorship. A couple of you, I think I'll ask Derek to someone to just visit your business and kind of you have an outside view of how business is done. Derek shall post the BHC in there. Sandra, thanks so much for those submissions. I think they're very, very powerful messages. And I think we know that the journey is just beginning. I mean, it's been 12 years, but we also are very sure that there is a lot more to come. The product which you are sending, you said people want a full container every month, possibly a full container every week. And the shea butter trees are available, but how do we develop businesses which can do that? The journey which you are leading is the journey which actually delivers on that. Wow, we have had just a lovely, lovely hour. We are going to have Sandra next week on Wednesday, 15th, this month at the Global Entrepreneurship Week conference at Africana, at Hotel Africana. We'll be there. We'll be able to engage and just come and at least buy Sandra's product. It will be available there so that we can be able to win together. Friends, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who has joined us. Sandra, I just wanted you to just share with us any final remarks which you have, a final message. Where do people find your product, by the way? And just a final word of encouragement to the many young entrepreneurs on the call and the many people who are in business, some of them not young entrepreneurs, but who are on this journey. Just share with us your final remarks.
Okay, once again, thank you so much, Enterprise Uganda, for this invitation. I've really had a lovely 1 hour speaking to everyone here on this call. Yeah, Pelere Group, we have an outlet in town on Modern Shoplex building. ES started, but also we are distributing widely to different wholesalers, distributors. So we have brands. We have the Pelere Shea Butter brand, already on market. We have the Embrace brand also on market. We have the Home Care brand. So you're welcome to be able to purchase from us, be able to use from us. By each time you're purchasing from us, you're supporting a farmer out there. To the young entrepreneurs on this call, I would say the journey is just starting. And the good thing is some of us, we have been here and you'll get challenges along the way, or there are things you'll need. We are here. There are so many people that will want to walk with you this journey. And yeah, also just, I think sometimes we may not have with the money, but just to give you direction, you're able to say this and this, you're able to get some of these directions of how some of us have overcome some of these things. And someone is there to walk the journey with you. I look forward to walking the journey also with some of you. Please don't give up. If God has called you in that place, if He has put you there, I'm just praying for you to, and I wish you the very best there. But don't give up. It's our mandate as each of us to be able to change this country. I believe if we have more solutions, just like the way James Mwana started the businesses he has, and if we have also more solutions that we can be able to offer, I believe this country will be a better place. And right now, we really need more exports. We need more industries. We need more solutions to the problems that we have as a country. And I believe each one of us has the capacity to be able to do that. I thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you next week on Wednesday. Yes, and also purchasing some of our products. God bless you.
Super, super, super. A big thank you, everyone who has joined us. We have had a very enriching session. Sandra, thank you for sharing your heart with us. We're very honored by you taking off an hour to share with us, to challenge